So on these debate episodes, we're going to open up with some questions that our followers have submitted.
Everyone in the world will do the same thing.
But can you say that he actually helped them develop? How do you think Chelsea will be tactically different under Tuchel in comparison to Lampard?
Oh, it's stupid. That's what it is. It's stupid.
Okay. That was disgusting. Will Spurs make it to the UEFA Champions League this year?
Huh?
Disclaimer: in about 2 weeks, you'll be talking about Newcastle. How Steve Bruce, he's the next Mourinho, mate. It's also about time that one of your statements come true.
Let's see him. Let's see what he's got.
Okay, shut up. You're getting cut off. Okay. The Great Escape is on. It is on like Donkey Kong.
Hypocrisy.
For the first ever time, we have a mid-episode substitution.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are across the world. Shout out Virginia, because we have some listeners in Virginia. So if you're one of them,
shout out Virginia.
To yourself. Our first USA listeners based in Virginia. So thanks for that.
First question. What's the capital of Virginia? I have no idea, so I'm just asking questions. That's all.
The quiz master who doesn't know the answers.
Yeah. We should know
anyway.
Richmond, Virginia. Richmond, okay, cool.
Let's go, Richmond.
I wouldn't have guessed that in a million years, but wherever you are in Virginia, shout out to those listeners. So thank you for that.
Big up.
Thanks, y'all.
For those of you listening who follow us at TFF Media on Instagram, great job. For those of you who don't, make sure you do, because firstly, we've got daily interactions going on there. We've got polls. We've got Have Your Say. We're starting competitions very soon. And we've also, on our link tree on Instagram, we've now opened it up to questions. So on these debate episodes, we're going to open up with some questions that our followers have submitted, try and interact with them and connect with our community. So without further ado, let's dive straight into them. We've got a mixture from both Canada and from the UK. So first one's from one of our first followers, actually, Madison, and she is based in Ottawa, Canada. And her question is, what is each of the hosts' most memorable football moment?
Oh, Biggie.
So, Dan, do you want to start us off?
Do I want to start? Well, when you mentioned this to me earlier, I had a little think. And there's a couple, because as an Arsenal fan, you can, I mean, not much in most recent times. Well, a little bit, but FA Cup wins are special for sure. I mean, you could go for my first initial thought was the Arshavin Barcelona winner.
Yes.
Classic win as well. However, I would probably have to say the Ramsey winner to win the 2014 FA Cup final.
The big comeback.
Yeah, purely because I obviously that was when the long trophy drought was in process.
Yes.
And the last trophy. Shut up, Morgan. Like the last time we'd won a trophy, I'd say at an age that it wasn't necessarily a memorable moment for me, in terms of I could actually fully celebrate it as a passionate football fan. So seeing Arsenal win that 2014 FA Cup and the manner we did it in, coming back from 2-0 down, to see Ramsey score that winner for me was just such a special moment. It didn't really sink in until after my dad came up to me and he said, "You do realise that's the first trophy Arsenal have won, like since you've been like of a age where you've been watching football full time." And I was like, I was just like, yeah, it is. That's crazy. Yeah. So that for me is my most memorable moment.
You guys really stop having to cling on to this FA Cup glory, but
well, it's a big achievement. I'm not.
Jovan.
Yeah, Dan's already taken the Arsenal obviously experiences, and there's been a lot of great moments, more so I would say in the past. However, let's go to something that is obviously for me probably something that, you know, when I first started following football, late 2009, Serbia beat Romania 5-0 in the stadium Maracana in Serbia, a stadium that Morgan, you were actually at, you visited in last
quite a nice
year.
Stadium, I'll give it to you.
Massive stadium, and the first time Serbia qualified for the World Cup as an independent nation in 2009, late 2009. With, in my opinion, one of the best managers Serbia's ever had, Radomir Antić, the late Radomir Antić, who passed away from coronavirus actually last year, 2020. So So yeah, that was a massive moment. 5-0 win. It's the win that secured that they qualified. They topped a group that had France in it, that had Austria. Obviously, Romania was also in that group. So it's and that took them to the South Africa World Cup. So that was a massive memory for me.
Wow.
Morgan, let's hear it.
Amazing. So obviously for me, it's got to be Leeds United. I do want to give one or two honourable mentions. Obviously, being to 2 playoff finals, but losing both, so that doesn't top it. But I mean, the atmosphere at these stadiums, the Leeds fans, amazing. Also, when I was very young back, this is 2006, away to Southampton. Harry Redknapp was the manager. Theo Walcott was there as a very, very young kid. A couple other young players as well were playing for Southampton. Good youth academy, always has been. I think Bale was at Southampton as well at the time. Anyway, so we were down 3-0 at halftime. I said, Dad, I want to go home. He was like, no, let's stay, see what happens. All right.
Typical crybaby. That's shocking mentality, man.
20 minutes left. We get a goal. Consolation, don't mind. Then get another. Then suddenly we get a penalty, 87th minute. David Healy slots it away. 3-0. At the time, we won 4-3. Amazing. The scenes.
Shut up.
Never leave a game at halftime. Never leave a game 20 minutes.
Ever.
4 goals in the final 20 minutes. Insane. But
crazy.
But topping that has to be when we won in the final game of the season at home to Bristol Rovers 2-1 to get back into the Championship, because that was 3 years of heartbreak. We'd lost in the playoff final, the playoff semi-finals, and to finally get out of League One, it was tough and it was emotional. There was a lot of scenes. I mean, Ellen Road was packed. It was crazy. And yeah, seeing, 40,000 people just going nuts was a special moment for me. And I'll always treasure that, no doubt. And also the way the day unfolded, going down to 10 men, going down 1-0 to win 2-1. It showed how much the fans pushed 10 men leads. So yeah, for me, that was my...
Maybe you can offer some therapy to Sunderland fans then, because I've been following them, and the fact that they're not even in a position that they're going to come back up. And how long have they been in that league? 3 years already.
Yeah, another huge club.
And if you didn't watch that series, Sunderland Till I Die, I think it's called.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah.
Unbelievable series. Like I watched the Leeds one. I watched the Brazil. There's a Brazil one. There's a Tottenham one. But for me, the Sunderland one was crazy. But yeah, that was a good question. I think good question.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
We've got another one here from Paul. Paul is based in London, and great question. His question, and this is a tough one. This is one of the debate topics, so we'll dive into it more. But how do you think Chelsea will be tactically different under Tuchel in comparison to Lampard?
Cool.
Yeah, I'll just jump in right away. You're gonna see a kind of Liverpool-esque style. The reason why I say that, because Tuchel and Thomas Tuchel and Jurgen Klopp have a very similar style. I mean, if you look at, this has nothing to do with it because this could be totally.
Isn't it called the Klopp press, something like that?
Jurgen press.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Jurgen press, and basically, so you're gonna see a lot of that. You're gonna see a lot of attacking football, a lot of pressure. And hopefully what you'll see is a lot of a more confident side, because that's something that Chelsea hasn't had of late. And you're gonna have a better team. Again, Thomas Tuchel, he's done well with Dortmund. He's won a league that you're supposed to win. So with PSG. But I think a lot of people are being a little bit disrespectful on that front. I think you still have to. You win a league. You win a league with PSG. Great, that's expected, but that's still something good. It's not like it's a bad thing that you win the league. It's he did it. He didn't win the Champions League, but okay, to win the Champions League is not something that should happen at a club like PSG. So no, you'll see. That's a great question, I think, because it's something I've looked into a lot of late. You're going to see definitely a much more aggressive Chelsea because they have the players, and you might it might take some time to see that, but. Yeah,
I was just going to say, I saw a stat earlier. I've just pulled it up as well. So my eyes were slightly to the right. I was just trying to find it. So yesterday in the game against Wolves, Chelsea completed a total of 433 passes in the first half, which is their most in the first half of a Premier League game since at least 2003 to 2004, which is mental. So that shows for me. I think when I saw that, I was like, okay, maybe it's a much different style to what they may have ever seen before at this club in terms of the way he wants to instill this maybe more possession-based football, but it's more of what everyone was saying, like a Klopp style, I guess. And I mean, that stat alone just shows you what he's already, in the short time that he's been there, what he's already doing. And yeah, I mean, we'll discuss it later, of course. And me and Morgan already discussed it with the breaking, but obviously I think Chelsea maybe needed this change now that maybe we'll have to evaluate that over the coming months. But yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, just to build off that, really, I think the word that Chelsea have been lacking really is identity, right? Mm-hmm. Can you really say Chelsea have had an identity? And again, with the possession-based stuff, being in control of games, right? When you have possession, you're controlling the game because you have the ball, you determine what you do with it. Can you really tell me, win or lose or draw, that Chelsea look like they're in control of games? I don't think you can really say that. So I think he's going to be able to take an approach, through a pressing game that he's been able to establish throughout, the Bundesliga, and even when he moved into the French league with PSG, a more pressing game when you're able to dictate the game and have control over it. And I think that's going to allow them to have more success because they have so much talent. And also in terms of pressing young players who have the energy to do so and keep that going.
Chelsea need to do that.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of how they're going to change. And I think with identity, they've had too many formations. Frank Lampard, and I'll get into it later, he's moved around, some players too much. And the change of formation, the players haven't really felt settled into a role. And I think that's been part of the problem. So I think it's going to allow for a greater identity and them to have more control of the game. Great question there from Paul. So thank you for that, Paul. Another Paul. Question. Go on, Jovan.
No, I was just saying cheers, Paul. Cheers, Paul.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Paul. A question, another one from Canada. This is from Stuart in Guelph, Ontario. His question is, will Spurs make it to the UEFA Champions League this year? So this is an interesting question because I think a team that immediately comes into your head as an either or is, Leicester.
Yes.
Well, it's going to be tough for both those teams to make it, I think. Unless you have a top four that looks like Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, Leicester, which could happen.
Yeah, yes, for sure. Don't put
Man United. But then you've got the likes of Man United in there. So, I mean, it's an interesting question. But let's zoom in on Spurs because that is the question Stuart's asked us. Will Spurs make it to UEFA Champions League this year? Jovan, you want to take this one?
Yeah, definitely a tough question. And I'm going to answer objectively as possible, obviously, without the whole bias thing there. I do this, given the situation, obviously things change in a few weeks, but I would say that Tottenham have a better chance of finishing in the top four than Manchester United. And the reason why I say that is because, Man United have had a good run, but I'm still not convinced. And I think Mourinho, he's been there long enough. Obviously they have to work on their own consistencies and stuff like that. And they also have the Europa League to worry about as well. So I would say, if I have to give a yes or no answer, I would say I see in the top four right now, Man City, Liverpool. Yeah, Leicester, then Tottenham. So I'll put Tottenham in there, yes, unfortunately.
Yep. Dan, very quickly, do you agree? Disagree?
Okay, yeah, no, I am gonna also. I'll stay now. I'll go non-biased now because I can see it. Will it happen? I don't know. I think Manchester United are a very streaky team, so it depends what streak they're on at the end of the season. If they're winning quite a lot of games towards the end of the season, I think I'd pick United, Leicester, City, Liverpool, and I'd leave Tottenham out of it. But yeah, if Man United's form drops off massively, then I could definitely see Tottenham getting into that top four. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And
something we have to think about is Chelsea as well, because obviously Chelsea look way off it, but given how close everything is, I mean, teams like, I'm not going to say Arsenal are also there as well, but if you're gonna talk about Arsenal and talk about Chelsea, then they're kind of in the similar situations. A lot can happen, right? And I think it's really tough to call, and I think we have to be a little bit rash when we have these questions and say, okay, yes, I would put Tottenham in the top four as things stand right now, but how about Everton, right? How about Everton, who's doing amazing? West Ham, I don't think they're doing well, but Everton too. Why can't they finish top four? Will Leicester hang on because they didn't do it last year. So
Yeah.
no, a good question. I mean, we
Yeah.
definitely don't have the answer, but I would
For
say
sure.
yeah.
And the way that I'm going to round this off is, I think this is a kind of season where really it's just about getting the result. I feel that like this season, it's not necessarily as much on, you know, how well you play, but can you get a result out of each game, you know, with injuries, coronavirus, everything going on, you know, no fans. It's really a determination and grit thing. And I think we saw that, you know, this week with Sheffield United. But I look at it as A, Jose's experience, and B, which team do I see? I mean, they're going to pick up points against the lower teams. Which team do I see picking up a decent number of points against the teams around them? Your Evertons, your Leicesters, your, you know, to some degree Chelsea, to, you know, your Liverpools. And I just see Spurs as a team that can do that and can grind out results. And with someone tactically minded like Jose Mourinho, whether they win it 1-0, you know, it doesn't really matter as long as they get points, you know. So that's how I see it. So I think we're all kind of in agreement.
So universally, TFF says Tottenham will be in the top 4. That's our answer collectively, which is, I feel better with that we've all agreed on.
Next question, I think it's a very relevant question. This is from Steve from Hertfordshire in the UK. Steve has asked, I'm going to try numb down this question a bit. Given how this year's Premiership is likely to be won with a low number of points, and also the relegation battle is likely to require a lower number of points, do you see Sheffield United pulling off the Great Escape?
Jesus.
So I'm going to start this one off.
Okay.
Sure.
I say, and listen carefully, the Great Escape is on. It is on like Donkey Kong. I'm telling you, the Great Escape is happening. I've said it all along. What have I said? They need to get a big win to lift the team's spirit. And Chris Wilder said they were in the dressing room after the Man United game celebrating. And that's great. But I want Chris Wilder to say to them, remember this feeling, and use this feeling as drive and motivation. And we've done a poll in TFF, and there's a majority agreeing with me. And there's a reason behind that.
So far, it hasn't finished yet. The poll hasn't finished yet, bro.
They've been in games all season long. They've been in games, and they just needed to have that extra bit of determination, that last bit of quality, which they had in this game, and the discipline defensively to pull off a win. And they've done that, and I think they can continue to do that. And that, combined with the lower number of points, as Steve mentioned in this question, required this season. I look at Newcastle as the bar, because I think Newcastle are absolutely...
You hate Newcastle.
Absolutely. I think...
Guys, I mean, take that with a pinch of salt, because, you were basically on me about backing Sheffield to have another good season.
Do you mind if I finish my point? Do you mind if I finish my point? Do you mind if I finish my point before you respond?
Hypocrisy.
I was going full steam there. I have full steam ahead, okay? So I look
Disclaimer, in about 2 weeks, you'll be talking about Newcastle. How, Steve Bruce, he's an ex-Mourinho, mate.
Newcastle were nearer the mid-table. They were picking up points, and I said to them, Newcastle are terrible. Their tactics are all wrong. They play defensive. They wait for some sort of penalty. They wait for some sort of chance to come around, a mistake or a corner. They cling on, and as soon as they concede, they're in trouble. End of story. I do not like Newcastle's tactics, and if they play on like this, they will go down. So I think Brighton, as you know what I think about Brighton. I think they'll do enough to stay up. I don't think Newcastle will pick up many points. I think they're lucky to have what they have now. So I think Newcastle, the bar, can Sheffield United chase them? I think they can. Let's not forget, they've got tough games coming up, right? And they've got Chelsea, they've got Man City as well. That game might be played by the time this episode airs. But in that, they also have Fulham and West Brom. Now, for me, West Brom are down. Their goal difference is horrible. They don't look like they have cut it. I predicted to stay up, and I'll own that. That was a terrible call, okay?
So Sammy's going down, basically, was what you're saying.
Yeah.
Big Sam. Oh,
yeah. My God. So what I'm saying is, if they pick up 3 points against Fulham and West Brom, that's a big given, 100%. But if they do, they're right back in it. Because of the low number of points this year, they are right back in it. And they've got lots of games that they can pick up points. I'm telling you.
So can we just have a conversation in terms of how... Thinking about it from a mathematical perspective, okay? If your title race is a lower amount of points, does that not mean that there's the amount of points that up for grabs every week is the same? unless you have a lot of draws.
I know what you're gonna. Are you gonna say if less points are at the top, bottom teams
more points at the bottom? That makes sense to me.
No, I'll tell you why. Because what it is, it's more points in. Let's just take the top 10 teams when they play each other. More points. There's more draws. So remember that's less points gained for teams.
Yes.
And on top of that,
the draws,
on top of that, there's teams taking points off each other. So let's say Spurs thrash Man United. Let's say Man United go and beat Spurs at their stadium, like 1-0, 2-0, whatever.
Yeah.
Teams take 3 points off each other. So there's a bigger spread and draws. So combine those together. That's why there's lower points this season. It's not exactly what you're saying. So
you're saying only the top 10 are sharing points and the bottom are just taking
No. That's not. I'm just saying, for example, take the top 10 as an example. But that's the reason. The lower points isn't because the bottom teams are taking off more and there'll be a much higher bar. It's because teams are drawing more and teams are splitting more of the two-way.
Okay, splitting, yes.
Because fixtures.
Yes, I understand that. I don't know. I haven't looked at it, but
less
I think
teams are winning 6 points from a battle. If you get what I'm saying.
Sure. Okay. Listen, you're backing Sheffield United to go up, which is, I think, extremely courageous.
It's stupid. That's what it is. It's stupid.
Okay. I don't like it. Stupid. Go on, Dan. Why are not Sheffield United not going to stay up? Tell me why. I want reasons why.
All right, yeah, that's fine, bro. So 20th place, Sheffield United, 8 points. 17th place, which is safety, Brighton and Hove Albion, your favourite team in the Premier League. Brighton and Hove, the next Aston Villa, bro.
Yeah, the next Aston
Villa. Are on 18 points. That's 10 points. It's possible, mathematically, like everyone was just, it's possible. There's just no way.
Okay, let me cut you off right there.
No way.
You're getting cut off. Okay, here we go. Okay. Firstly, I just said Sheffield United needs 6 points against Fulham and West Brom. Where does 6 points put them? Above both of them, okay? There's your first answer.
Okay.
Secondly, that puts them now 5 points behind Newcastle, okay? Can I see that?
Why aren't you talking about Brighton? Why aren't you talking about Brighton?
Because I told you, because in my eyes, you can bring up that argument, but in my eyes, Brighton are going to do enough to stay up, so they're not in the conversation. That's how I look at it.
They're 17th, bro.
No, I understand that. I understand they're 17th. I'm not blind to that. But I'm saying as the season goes on, they're going to do enough. I'm not saying they're going to finish 13th or 14th. I'm just saying they're going to always keep up and get enough points required to stay outside the relegation zone.
Okay. So the thing is, I think both. So again, you said Sheffield United is going to stay up. I think that would probably be the most in history, one of the most crazy escapes ever. Because
But part of the reason, sorry, I'll let you go. But part of the reason why they can stay up is because the bar's so low. Let me just add that. Usually, no way, no chance. But the bar is so low this season at the bottom. Partly because of fans.
I still think, and I said it before, that you're going to need in around the 35 point mark to stay up. And I said it at the beginning. You can look at the prior videos, and you were saying like 28 points, that's just not going to happen. But anyways, 35 points. So let's look at it like it's definitely possible that they can stay up because they're only 10 points off, and they have, I think, 18 games to go. That's half a season. They can do it. Let's look at the FA Cup, and we kind of brought it up about how they just need a spark. They just need a win. Well, they got that. They got that against Bristol Rovers. They were able to win their FA Cup match. They were able to win a game that obviously lifted the spirits of the team.
It's not the same.
What do you talk? Okay, then explain to me why they've won 4 of the last 5 games then, after they got that result.
What I'm saying is that win.
So why, do you think that's just a coincidence then?
No.
After the
I was right in what I said. They got the boost, but they've played also. You said Bristol Rovers. They played. Who did they play the next one? Plymouth Argyle. Shout out Tyrese Forner and. Right, so I'm saying that those results don't have the same.
And then they just beat Man United yesterday.
Yeah, exactly. The Man United game is far more important in terms of lifting the spirits of the squad.
I would agree with that.
2 games against lower league sides.
Okay, but you can't jump over the mountain before you get to the mountain, man.
Exactly.
You know what I'm talking about?
And look, they may not pick up anything against Man City. They're the side in form, right? They see the top of the league. They got a game in hand. That's going to be tough away as well, even though it's less impactful with fans, but that's going to be tough. So, I mean, even if they lose that game, they've got to keep the momentum going because, as I said, 2 massive games They have to get 6 points. If they want to stay up, not 4 points, 6 points against Fulham and West Brom.
If they could grab a point against City, we could maybe start talking. If they grab, because then I think it's not even about just grabbing a point and that getting them closer to the top, to safety. Confidence again. They keep building on it.
I agree.
Once you start, exactly.
Okay, I think it's interesting. We stand there's definitely a split here. But yeah, great question from Steve. And I assume he's a Sheffield United fan, so best of luck, Steve.
But you just got to keep in mind. You got to keep in mind that they have 18 games left, and they probably have to win. They have to win probably half of those games. And, if it's not a win half of those games, they need to win maybe 7. They need to draw.
So you're saying they have 8 points, so 9 wins, that's 27. You're saying they need 35 points to stay up.
I've said that already 3 times.
No.
35 points to stay up.
Not this season. Not this season.
All right, we'll play it back.
I don't think it's too far off 35.
Okay, so you're telling me you think Newcastle can get 11 more points this season?
Why not?
I don't see that. At all.
11 might be
That's 4. That's 4 wins, mate. They have less than.
Have you watched Newcastle play recently? Have you watched?
Yeah.
Mate,
But do you know that
against Leeds? They played really well. Against Leeds, they played well, and they had more chances, more possession, and they still couldn't win.
A lot. Listen, step by step, man. We'll see.
Interesting.
I don't really back. I don't back Newcastle either, but I think Brighton are going down. Listen, Sheffield United, I would like it. I back
So you're
them.
saying if Sheffield United stay up, Brighton are going down?
Well, why wouldn't Fulham stay up before them? Why can't Fulham do it?
I can't see them getting enough points to stay
Scott
up.
Park. Why not? Why? I mean, again, this is going to be very interesting, and again, it's tough to predict. And we're going to have a very entertaining end to the season.
Definitely. The only thing we can hope for is that Sheffield United do get enough points so that we have a really entertaining last 5 games.
That would be amazing.
Anyone could go down.
And then I hope Brighton goes down because somehow Brighton are going to be the next Aston Villa, even though they're not even in the Premier League.
The Championship.
We'll see how that works.
Okay, let's see how that plays out. All right. Okay. So our next question comes from Tilburg in the Netherlands, and this is from Dale. His question is, who?
That's unbelievable. That kills me. That's jokes. Dale, thank you for the question, man.
Who, and I think let's just keep this let's just give a one-word answer even. Who will win the Euros?
Not the Netherlands. That was 3 words, but not the Netherlands. Let's just put
Okay, for me it's France.
France. Netherlands is an underdog. Sorry, I just had to add that. I think Netherlands could be an underdog this year.
Belgium also a good chance. Right.
True. Final
question here. This comes from Daniel in London. So I think this one's targeted at me, but the question is, and he's addressed me. So he goes, Morgan, how frustrating was it to see Leeds get so close to promotion to the Premier League every season, but miss out right at the end? Right. So my answer to you, Daniel, firstly, it wasn't at the end of the season. We lost hope halfway through the season. Every season, good start, playoff places, post New Year's, landslide down the table. Disappointing every season. Yeah, it's heartbreaking. But let me say this, and I've said this many times to Jovan, it's shaped my approach, how I look at it as a fan this season, because too many times I get excited and I get let down. But this season, I'm just enjoying each game, enjoying the football. As long as we stay up, I'm happy. And let me tell you, I'm so more relaxed this season. My stress levels have rarely gone through the roof. I've got enough stress with other things in my life. So believe me when I say Leeds keeping me level is something that's been great. So,
you're in the Premier League now, so you're laughing. You're the one that's
exactly.
Yeah. So thank you.
But surely it makes you more grateful as a fan, and it's more better. Surely it was a better feeling when you got promoted after all those seasons. Sometimes it's you have to go through the heartbreak to enjoy the good moments.
Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. The build-up of 16 years made it mean more, no doubt.
It must have made it so special. I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, my whole journey as a Leeds fan before this season has been outside the Premier League. I followed them the year after they went down. So yeah, I mean, you can't really put into words like that feeling when we got promoted.
Exactly.
When funnily enough, it was Huddersfield, our biggest rivals, that got us up. But hey ho. Anyway, right. So yeah, those were some interesting questions. So thank you to all our followers for submitting those questions. If you don't already, as I said, follow at TFF Media on Instagram and make sure you click on the link in our bio and you have all our platforms there along with the the link to go submit your questions, and every debate episode we will go through as many as we can. We promise. So that was a great start. I really enjoyed that. Okay,
for sure.
So let's get into the first debate topic. I think there's no debate, no questions where we start. And I mean, we did a TFF breaking, most recently about the immediate reaction to Lampard being sacked. But the question is, was it the right decision to sack Lampard and bring in Tuchel so quickly? So the combination of both, not just one or the other. So yeah, I'm going to open the floor. I'm going to let Daniel take the reins here. So Daniel, where do you stand?
Okay, I stand, obviously, I've now had time to sort of sit back because obviously when the TFF breaking dropped, it was very fresh. And I gave my sort of initial reactions to the sacking. I was shocked. I did have a little inkling that after the most recent results, it might be time that there was the rumours flying around. But then I thought it would be the same situation as Mikel, where they were going for a little bad patch, but it's a young manager. They're going to stick with him, and they didn't. For me, I don't think getting Tuchel in was a bad appointment. It's not the fact that they brought in Tuchel and I'm slating them because they've got him in. That's not my issue. My issue is that Frank Lampard should have been given more time. Frank Lampard should have been given more time. Not even more time. They just should have known their vision when they hired him. They should have known the time scale that it was going to take for them to achieve what they wanted to achieve. And I think they cut his time too short. And I think he might come back. You might do a Jose Mourinho, have a second or third stint and third stint, whatever. But you're sacking a club legend. Like, you can't bring that into it, but you can as well at the same time. So that's where I stand. I'm disappointed. I'm not mad at the Tuchel appointment, but I am mad that Frank wasn't given more time.
So just to summarize, you said you can't kick out a club legend, but you can.
You know why you can't, though? You know why you can't? Because it's Chelsea, and like that's something we haven't talked about. And
top goal scorer.
Okay, but top goal scorer is great. That's. But what are they going to do with this season, the next season, and I mean, the thing is, look at Arteta, right? Arteta wasn't half the player that Lampard was for Arsenal, right? It's but we stuck with him, and it's because we believe in him and whatever. And I mean, Chelsea have a different approach. Roman Abramovich is a type of owner that has his own way of doing things, and to expect anything else is just not the reality, right? So they've won more titles than clubs like Arsenal have, unfortunately, in the last years, and it's working for them. And to be honest with you, in terms of now results, which this season, next season, I think they have the better manager right now, because really, would you have said, okay, Frank Lampard is going to win in the Premier League this season or next season? Does it look like? It's hard to tell. I mean, look at these managers that have had so much experience. Do I really believe Arteta is going to ever win Arsenal the Premier League? Like, really? I obviously hope so, and that kind of get blinded. But I don't know. I really don't know, because you have to kind of be honest and say probably not. Look at Jurgen Klopp. I mean, he won the Premier League, but he also had years and years at Mainz, years and years at Dortmund, and he succeeded with them. Look at Pep. I mean, Pep's another guy in itself, but he had all those years at Barcelona. He had the experience in Bayern that obviously he learned from. It's really, even look at Brendan Rodgers. Like, that guy is a manager that I would be more confident than Arteta or Lampard, because he started at Chelsea through the academy, went to obviously that Liverpool stint where he almost won the league in that little area, but then he went to Celtic. Celtic is a great club to go and develop in your trade. And in terms of the pressures there, you're obviously not in the Premier League, but you're in a club that demands that you win the league every year.
Yeah, and to add to that point before you keep going, and just to strengthen your point, you look at Celtic, right? And you can make the argument, they're Celtic. It's very easy to do well when you manage Celtic. But look at the landslide since he's left. Yeah. Look at the disaster. Frankly, the storm they're in right now,
For sure. I mean, Rangers, like, the only reason, I mean, Rangers obviously had that kind of fell off the mountain there for a bit. Now they're down. Now they're back to it. But I mean, being in Scotland, I think is a great environment for any coach to develop his trade. Especially,
100%.
Is it better to be at let's say to be at a Fulham or to be at Celtic or Rangers? It's hard to say, but I think being at Celtic or Rangers, you're not only competing at a domestic level, but you're also competing at a European level where you should be in the Europa League, the Champions League, which is also its own learning curve. So
no doubt.
That's why, okay, great. He's a club legend and you shouldn't sack him. But Roman Abramovich, he cares because he made that statement, but he cares more about winning trophies. And unfortunately, I think maybe if you look at Arsenal's perspective, and I know I did back Arteta to stay because, we're not a type of club that's going to go get Thomas Tuchel in like 2 days, like how they did. Like this, it's done. He was on the plane. He's there, and he's already on the bench against Wolves. Like that's
never how it works. That's a club. Arsenal. That's never how it works.
Yeah, it's a different club for sure. I mean, you can judge it on the success.
So to push you for a specific answer. So Daniel's at you can't, but you can, and Jovan, where do you stand? What's your final answer?
Was
it the right thing?
To be honest with you, we won't know until the season's over, until we see what happens. But I think it's a bold move, but that bold moves, often come with a lot of rewards too.
True.
I mean, worst case scenario, they don't come on, but I think it would have been the same thing as if they kept Frank Lampard, and then you have a story that sounds good, but do you want to win trophies? And I think Thomas Tuchel is a guy that could get them in the top 4 of the season and potentially get them winning trophies.
Can I just ask you one question, Jovan? Because me and Morgan discussed it on the break-in. Was it too early for Frank to take over from leaving Derby, where he wasn't there for a long time? Was it too early? Because we said, didn't we, Morgan, that the Chelsea job technically should have been his goal
pinnacle,
at the end of his career, at the end of his whole career in football.
Not even the end, but like the peak, right?
Yeah, the peak of his, fair, yeah.
And we made the example of, look at Steven Gerrard, obviously Liverpool, legend, absolute legend. And you would say in the future, it's on the cards for him to take the reins. Klopp's spoken about like a deadline. And you think about the portfolio he's built up at Rangers, the track record, that he can then, like, with the experience he now has, come and do a great job at Liverpool.
Yes.
Just to go back to Daniel's
Here's
question.
the thing. That's a great answer, and it's obvious. It was too early, obviously, and it's not just because he didn't do well right away. It's too early to take a job, but that's not his fault. Of course he's going to accept that. No manager in the world is going to be like, I'm not going to go to my club. Yeah. That's for him. Everyone in the world would have done the same thing. But retrospectively, of course, it is a little bit too early. But look at the reason why they brought him in, and it's because they could not have got a Thomas Tuchel or a world class, you could say, manager at the time they brought Frank in. Frank was brought in during the embargo, so they kind of settled. They said, okay, this is the best of both worlds. We got a manager that can actually settle things down, that knows the club, that knows the roots of the club in terms of the academy, bring those players in. It made a lot of sense. But more so, I would say did they really bring him in and say, okay, this guy's going to win us the Premier League when you're fighting against Liverpool, Man City, against world-class managers, like massive teams? Probably not. So was it too early, retrospectively? Probably if he wanted to win. But for him, he's a better manager now than he was before. That's for sure.
And he's going to learn a lot from what he's been through now. He's going to learn, and he can take that to his next job, whether he decides to pursue. I'm sure he will go into a new manager's job. But it's interesting what you were saying about bringing him in to bring the academy players through, and sort of like know the roots of the club and that. That's the thing where I think they got it mixed. And again, I touched on this on the breaking thing. Is that what is their direction? Because I can't work it out, because you spend big in the summer, you bring in Havertz for £75 million, Timo Werner, but then I would have brought in Lampard to bring up these loan players.
I'm gonna answer that question right now for you, Dan. How's that? How does that sound? Sound good?
Yeah, go on.
Okay. So originally, my initial reaction, and I said it on the breaking episode, it was too quick to get rid of Lampard, too quick. And that's thinking from my perspective, just observing. But you have to actually put yourself in Chelsea's shoes, maybe not specifically Roman Abramovich, but the board as a whole, and actually think about from their perspective. Now, it's come up, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about it, 1.67 points per game. That's the lowest points per game of a manager since 2003, 2004. Okay? And I just want to highlight that there are 7 managers who average higher points per game, but were given much less time at Chelsea, somewhere between 20 to 40 games. And Lampard had 57 games in charge of Chelsea. And Roman Abramovich spoke about letting Frank Lampard go. So that tells me that I reckon they waited as long as they could. They did everything they can to try and keep Frank Lampard at the club.
Fair play to them though, because I mean
that you look at that, and then you look at this as well. You talk about the young players. Yes, Frank Lampard gave young players an opportunity that other managers had not in the past. But can you say that he actually helped them develop?
No.
Can you say that?
I don't think
There's a difference between providing opportunity and actually
opportunities.
Having development. They're two different things. Anyone can provide opportunity, Get your boots on, John. You're heading. Do you know what I mean? Anyone can. But to actually help them develop.
That's no. How about this? How about when your job's on the line, and then that's the reason why a lot of coaches don't do it, because they don't want to take the risk. So he was able. And again, you could talk about the embargo and how he kind of maybe was forced to do it. That's why he was there. He was long-term interim manager.
I know, but respect to Frank Lampard for playing the players, but can you say that he's developed them? Have you seen improvement from...
I would say Reece James is the only one that I can see that's developed.
Mason Mount, I think, deserves some credit as well.
Mason Mount. Yeah. Mason Mount.
Okay, but let me say this, and then you think... So that's the Frank side of it. So I'm less so on the side of, was it wrong to sack Lampard? Not as much anymore, because you look at those stats, and it tells you that they did everything they can to keep him. But at the end of the day, they're a huge club. They've spent a lot of money, and they want to see results. Now, obviously, a lot of the money was spent on young players. Now, let's think about Thomas Tuchel. He's got a track record of developing young players, right? His biggest project, Ousmane Dembele, came in from Rennes to Dortmund. In less than a year, went to Barca for 100 mil, right? So he developed Dembele from just, a potential future talent to a star right here, right now, within less than a year. So that deserves a lot of credit. You can see a lot of improvement, and you can see how he's been able to have a culture where he does develop young players, and he's got a track record of that. And that's definitely a big reason why Chelsea bring him in. Also, his style of play, pressing football, giving a team an identity, and showing an ability to change up formations. He's done it in the Champions League in the past. Last season when PSG played against, I want to say Leipzig, but I think I'm wrong. PSG played the team. They were down 1-0 after the first leg, and he completely changed up the formation and his approach, and they turned it around and obviously made it to the final. So he's shown an ability to adapt, which I think Lampard just hadn't quite got the grasp of yet. He didn't really know how to adapt. Yes, he changed things, but I didn't see much change that showed like any smart adaptations or something that actually helped them succeed.
Same. Yeah.
And he'll really help develop an identity at the club. He will give young players opportunity, but more importantly, he will actually develop young players, and he's shown that he can do that. And you look at Kai Havertz, Timo Werner, and this is another issue, right? Kai Havertz has played over 150 minutes in 4 different positions. Timo Werner's played 5 different positions over 150 minutes, and 2 of those over 360 minutes. That's over 4 full games, okay? So these players are trying to develop and trying to discover their role in the Chelsea squad, and you're moving them around too much. They don't know where to play. We've seen Havertz play defensive midfield. We've seen him play cam. We've seen him play wide.
Defensive midfield.
Yeah, briefly.
We've
seen Timo Werner play out wide. We've seen him play like a cam role. We've seen him play up front. And I think a player like Timo Werner, just to give you a specific example, he's a player that you really have to suit a certain style. He's not like a Harry Kane where he can adapt to any style and come in and do a great job. He plays a certain style, and that's why the high pressing game, which is what he plays, works for, because when teams make mistakes, Timo Werner's quick, he can pounce, and he's a clinical finisher, right? But in the Premier League and Bundesliga are 2 very different leagues. You watch the Bundesliga, the defenses are much higher. There's a lot more one-on-ones. There's a lot more kind of end-to-end stuff, right? In the Premier League, you have to break teams down, especially when you play the lower down teams, But even Tottenham, you look at the way Tottenham play, you really have to break teams down. And that's not necessarily Timo Werner's style, at face value. So then you have to adjust your approach to make sure that suits a player like that who is capable. And I said Timo Werner is the next Didier Drogba, or the best player since Didier Drogba. But I would like to say he can be. He definitely is.
It's time for him to prove himself then under Tuchel now. It's time for him to... Let's see him. Let's see what he's got.
He's shown that potential that he can be, but you have to play a style that works for him. And I think if they're able to play a more pressing game that allows Timo Werner to pick up on mistakes or play a game where he can run in behind the defense, that's going to really help his game. And again, Kai Havertz, young player, needs confidence. You need to put him in a role and say, this is what you do, and let him have success in a certain role. Don't move him around, and that will help as well.
It's also about time that one of your statements come true as well. So hopefully that happens sometime.
Yeah,
as well.
and I mean,
hopefully he's the next Didier Drogba.
Yeah. Okay. Shut up. Okay. So you look at Chelsea, right? 9th in pressing. Okay, in terms of how frequently they press, 9th. In terms of how often they force turnovers, 13th in the league. So that says they don't do that enough.
Last night was a different story, man. It's
exactly,
crazy.
And this is promising. But I'm saying for the Lampard era this season, right? So that says, firstly, they're middle of the table. That tells me they have no identity. They kind of do it. Because I'd say at least teams at the bottom, like Newcastle or maybe even Spurs, they at least have an identity that they don't press, right? But Chelsea just sit in the middle, so they kind of do it. They kind of don't. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully we're going to see both those stats get much higher. Getting both, top 5 for both of those stats with Tuchel. And I think it's going to make a big difference. So to really go back to the question, was it the right decision? On hindsight, yes, because they tried everything they could with Frank. They were patient. But at the end of the day, it's a team, especially after them capitalizing on, the pandemic and, cheaper prices in the market. They really capitalized and spent a lot. And they want to see success, and they can't wait around. And yeah, I think it was a good decision.
You can't complain at chasing success. You can't complain at it.
And you look at Tuchel as a coach, and he is the right coach. He develops players, he gives teams an identity, and he's got a proven track record of success both in the Bundesliga and the French league. So
100%.
That's my answer to that.
I think, to be honest with you, you summed it up brilliantly. And I think if you are a Chelsea fan, you should be very, very excited, because I think a lot of them are kind of still a little bit hurt that Frank gone. But I think there's a lot to be excited about. Definitely. Whether they'll finish in the top 4 this season, who knows? But yeah, I think I would be excited if I was in their shoes. For the first ever time, we have a mid-episode substitution coming off the pitch. Number 24, Morgan Leisure. Coming onto the pitch. Numbers 5 and 6, Leo and Noah from One Sports Network. We got that down pat, huh? No problems. How's it going, guys? What's going on?
Yeah, good.
So
it's good, Frankie. How you doing?
Yeah, we're doing well. So this is the first ever mid-episode substitution. Again, we have 2 guests from One Sports Network who we've recently got in contact with and are excited to have an episode with them. I'll let them introduce themselves right now. Tell our audience a little bit about what you do. And we're going to talk a little bit about the Champions League.
So hi guys. We are basically a sport network which basically try and covers like as much information, news, games, stuff like that. So Premier League, your motorsports, your Formula 1, your Formula E, and try and give you guys as the fans as much insight as possible. We're on TikTok, Instagram, so you can obviously check us out.
I know me, Dan, and Morgan definitely are behind you guys and supporting you guys. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the Champions League. And I know we have a few weeks, exactly just a little bit more than 2 weeks until the Champions League resumes. And we're going to do a little bit of a prediction and a little bit of a debate. So again, don't hesitate to get into your opinions and back your opinions and attack opinions that you don't agree with. We'll start with probably, in my opinion, the most important or interesting game because of Pep. Ever since Pep came to the Premier League and came to City, he's always had the dream of winning the Champions League with City. And that's the dream of the whole club. They haven't done that yet. That's the next step, obviously. They look really good now, but this is not so much about now form. It's about, can they lift the Champions League come May of this year? The first game they're going to be playing Borussia Mönchengladbach. Let's start off with one of you guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on City. Can they to get through this game, they'd have to, in order to win the cup, they're going to have to win this game against Mönchengladbach, which is the short-term prediction. But what do you think about them?
I'm going to be very simple. I'm going to say they're going to win this game. I think Leia just said yes as well. But to answer your Champions League question, no. Simply, they don't have the team to do it. They don't have a Champions League winning team. They don't have Aguero, who's not going to be fit. He's always inconsistently, he's got COVID. He's not fit. He's fit. And I've always thought that City lack that key talisman, that Mbappe, that Neymar, that Messi, which is what they've always needed to win the Champions League. So, and unless Messi can magically play and they suddenly buy him in the next 3 days, I doubt it. I don't think they will.
I don't know. See, right. I think Man City have a good chance this year because if you look at the lineup that's going into that round of 16, there's obviously a lot of strong teams, but they're all not in form recently. Like you have Real Madrid, who are very off form. You have also a couple of big teams going out against each other who will knock each other out.
Yes.
So I think if they get their mindset together, get their injuries tackled down, find out who's playing and who's not playing, I think they can have a strong chance this year to make it far in the competition.
Big Dan, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it's an easy first tie. Mönchengladbach, I don't think will cause them any problems. I'm a bit torn. I just don't think City really. I don't know. Yeah, I just don't think City really have got it in the Champions League. They're a good Premier League side. They do well enough in the Premier League in recent times, but they just don't seem to have it in the Champions League. And I think purely based on quality, I think their injuries definitely have been a problem, like you guys were saying. And for me, I think there's a couple of better teams left. But it's possible. It's possible. It's just we'll have to be getting a strong. They've just got to get a strong squad together, obviously for the games and build on from that. Really, I just don't think they're really there yet at the Champions League. Although their squad's very strong, I think they still have to add more to win this competition. Yeah,
and it's a good point. I mean, for me at least, this question, the question that's of real value here is an easy one. In terms of predicting this round, I think we all unanimously agree that they will get through the German test. However, here's another question that will answer everyone yes or no. Just go through quick. Will Pep, in his time at Man City, will he win the Champions League? Is it this year? Is it next year? Is it in 2 years? However long they'll stay. Will he ever lift that cup?
Definitely will. I definitely think he's got the tactics.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
I'm saying no. I don't think he will. I don't think he will.
Controversy.
I just don't feel like. I don't know. I just potentially, but I just I can't see it. Fair. I think there's too many other better teams.
So if you're looking to bet, put Man City to beat Borussia Mönchengladbach. I think that's what we've unanimously decided. Let's head over to the recent kind of news. This game is kind of, I think, Leo, what you alluded to in terms of the two giants kind of going at each other. We have two of them, I guess you could say, that are the big ones. And we're going to start with the one in London. Chelsea will have to go against Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid, who is having a great season in terms of the league. You have to also look at in terms of how well are they going to prioritize both competitions, given that this year is a really good chance for them to actually win La Liga. But is Chelsea in a position where they can beat Atletico Madrid? Remember, Atletico did beat Liverpool last season. We can't forget that. What is our thoughts there? We'll start with Dan.
Yeah. Okay. So Atletico Madrid, Chelsea. So Atletico Madrid do seem to be a pretty good Champions League side. Obviously, you mentioned they beat Liverpool last year. In quite sensational fashion, and that was a time where Liverpool could have easily won the competition again. For me, they're in another strong position. I think Chelsea, obviously, we've spoken about Jovan in the first part of this podcast. Massive transitional period for them, switching from a club legend like Frank Lampard to a different style now with Thomas Tuchel taking charge. So I think this transitional period, I don't think this Champions League will be the forefront of their focus, because if they do get past Atletico Madrid, I can't see them getting any further when it starts nailing down to the slightly better teams, last 8, last 4, etc. So I personally, I think it will be. It's not going to be. They're not going to come out and say it, but I don't think that Chelsea will put this at the forefront of their minds. I think it's about finishing this season strong. They've obviously had some tough periods of recent times, and they've now gone through a big transitional period, and it'll be looking forward to next season more than anything and finishing the Premier League season strong.
So keep this in mind. This is one of the later games in terms of the round of 16. They have about a month to prepare for this game, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, it's about the transition with the new head coach. So we need an answer. We need who's winning this game. Is it Atletico or is it Chelsea?
Atletico Madrid, 100%.
Go through.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the guests.
I think Atletico. I think, look, Simeone wins Champions League games. That's what he does. He's very good across two legs because he gets the win at home. You saw it at Liverpool. He gets that cheeky 1-0, parks the bus, and then he goes to the away game, and then he parks the bus for the full 90 minutes. And we think it's impossible, but it's not. He's a serial winner. He knows how to get that team playing. And look, even though they lost Diego Costa, they're still firing. There's still some great players. And I put them as a dark horse for this tournament because you just don't know what you're going to get. Like, you just don't. It could be one game. They could be, beating Liverpool. And this year they lost to Bayern Munich. I think it was like 3 or 4. So you don't know. But I think he will get through this test. And I think you have to put them as a dark horse for the whole tournament, really.
Mm.
Yeah, also Chelsea are very inconsistent as a team. So, I'm not going to rule them out not winning their tie because you never know what they could do. Because they're not consistent at a level that you can say they're going to win or lose. They're just they might win big games, they might lose small games. But I think that if he gets that team sorted out in the month that he's got, I think it'll be a good game to watch, definitely.
Yeah, I'm going to go in and say I'm going to go against the 2 votes so far. And the only reason is, not doing it for the sake of it, is that where Atletico is in their season, I think they have to prioritize. Although you say, okay, winning the Champions League is unbelievable. That's very difficult to do, and there's so many good teams. But this year is a great opportunity for them to win the La Liga, and they haven't done I think they did it earlier, maybe a few years ago now, 5-6 years ago. They managed to do it, but I think it's a massive opportunity for them. So I think they will prioritize La Liga. Not to say they couldn't do both. They definitely could, but I think, give a month, as Leo kind of mentioned, to give a month to Thomas Tuchel. What can he do? They have great players at disposal at Chelsea. And look, they want to get top 4, but I think Thomas Tuchel is a manager that loves the Champions League, that knows the Champions League. And I would put Chelsea to get through it. Obviously, it's a tough one. It could go either way, but I'm going to back Chelsea in this time.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there.
Okay, so 2-2, I guess. Let's move on. There's a bunch of ties that we can talk about. Let's talk about the defending champions, Bayern Munich. They have to head to Lazio and play them over 2 legs. This is going to be a tough one, obviously, to kind of argue at both sides. I'm going to go out and I don't want to waste too much time on this one. I believe Bayern Munich will get through this. They're strong. They should be able to beat Lazio. Lazio is a good team, but they don't have the quality at the disposal to beat Bayern Munich. The good thing about the Champions League is anything can happen, but I would back, obviously, Bayern if I put money on it.
Yeah.
Agree, 100%. I think Bayern definitely going to get through this one.
Yeah, I think
there's no way.
This one looks like a 4-0 sweep. We got Bayern, Man City, and a tie in terms of the Athletico Chelsea game. Let's move on to Liverpool, the defending champions of the Premier League. They're going to have to play Leipzig. That's a big one, I think, because
huge.
This season in the Premier League looks a little bit messy for them. They still have every chance of doing it. But what are we thinking here? We'll start with Leo.
I don't want to rule Leipzig out. They're a great side. Don't get me wrong. They got the chemistry down. They work together so well. Liverpool also with a lot of injuries now. Van Dijk's out till the rest of the season. I don't know how many other players they got injured, but I think it'll be a close game.
Yeah,
definitely a close game. I'll support the underdogs Leipzig in this one.
Big one. Leo.
Yes.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go for Liverpool. I do think Leipzig are, they're a good side. They'll probably push Liverpool the whole way. But I just think that, look, as long as Salah and Mane are fit, they'll go through. They'll get knocked out by a better team. Leipzig, they're a good team, but they're just not the same level Liverpool are. Without Van Dijk, it doesn't make much difference. I still think Liverpool over the 2 legs will be fine.
Big Dan.
Yeah, I'm. Do you know what? I'm not feeling Liverpool this season at all for anything, for the league, for the Champions League, for this tie. I'm saying Leipzig. I'm backing Leo on this one. I think I'm going to go for the underdog as well. As much as I think they've got quality in attack, the injuries in defence are worrying, and we've seen that of recent in the Premier League. And I based on recent form, I'm not feeling them at all. They could get through this tie, but then again, as both of you said, I think they could easily get knocked out by a better team as well. But I just pick them to possibly go out this round. But I'll make a final conclusive answer and say I think Leipzig will go through as the underdogs.
Well, yeah, I know it's no fun to leave it on a draw, but I think in this case I will back Liverpool. Just given the reason why I say that is because I recognize I remember watching Leipzig in their group when they had the group with PSG, Man United, and also Istanbul, Başakşehir. Listen, Leipzig is a good team. The reason why I say Liverpool to get through this is because of the quality that they and the priority that they will put on the Champions League as well. They have experience. They have obviously they won't be happy with last year and how they went out. And I think with a team like Leipzig, while they have quality, Liverpool is a different beast when they are on their game. And obviously, health comes into effect, and they don't got too much time to recover. But I would put Liverpool here. So unfortunately we're left at a 2-2 draw. That one's another one of those games that could go either way. Let's move on to the big batter game in between Barcelona and PSG.
Fire.
What do we think?
It's huge.
A massive game. Pochettino is in Paris and he wants to win the Champions League. He was so close to doing it with Tottenham, and unfortunately wasn't able to do that. So, what are we thinking? We'll start with this in case Big Dan, and we'll go Noah.
Yeah. Okay. I feel like this one's tight. I don't know. I feel like Paris Saint-Germain could do this one just because of the recent. Obviously, they got to the final last year. They were close to winning it. Pochettino, I think, again, like Jovan said, was close to winning it with Spurs when they lost to Liverpool. He's going to have an extra drive and motivation. In my opinion, the French league is ridiculously dead at this time. In Monaco have dropped off. There's not many great teams challenging. So for them, they've almost got a bit of an advantage here because you think a lot of these teams, Atletico Madrid, obviously La Liga is quite a competitive league between 3 or 4 teams. Leipzig, obviously Bundesliga is quite competitive. And I just think that Paris Saint-Germain don't really have to worry about the league that much. They can, if they want to put 110% into this game, they can. If they want to rest, all of their starters at the weekend against Lille or whoever they're playing, they can. They can afford to rest Mbappe. They can afford to rest Neymar, and they should be ready and fully fit to go for that game. And yeah, I think Paris Saint-Germain can win that easily.
Yeah, I'm going to fully support you there. PSG are definitely one of the favourites to win this. When you have Neymar and Mbappe as your strikers, like anything is possible. And like you said, the French league is, with respect to it, is a pushover league. It's this one team wins every year. No one can financially compete with PSG. So I think it's got to be PSG. Barcelona are struggling. It's going to be attack v defense, and I think it's definitely going to be a big thrashing. I'm confident to say that because Barcelona are just having a horrid time. They're being beaten by pretty much every team in the Liga, let alone Champions League. So yeah, I'm going to go for PSG to have a good thrashing here. This could be the embarrassment of the week.
True.
Big one. Leo.
Yeah, so I agree with you guys, but I think this is going to sound really controversial right now, but Pochettino doesn't have that winning mentality in him. Like, after we saw what happened in the Champions League final, look how much they dropped off from that. So they did really well. And then next thing, they just dropped off so much. They were probably still upset about it. They didn't move on. But I think he's got the squad mentality, which is different from Tottenham. I think he could do it this season. He just needs to get his mentality right. Get those players moving.
Three votes in the way of PSG. I learned my lesson basically by betting against Barcelona in a group stage. I think Barcelona obviously, have their own problems in terms of the league. but how important the Champions League is for them and how well sometimes they play. Which sometimes you think, okay, they're not doing well in the league, then they come out and put on a performance and a half against some teams in the Champions League. Not that it's going to change the result of this prediction, but I will back Barcelona, but I also respect obviously Pochettino and the players they have at their disposal. One point on the league point of view is that when you have, obviously, and you guys will know this, when you have a league that is less competitive, sometimes that can come back to bite you in terms of the
very true.
Really,
very true.
The times in the games where you're put against the sword a little bit. Having those experiences week in, week out helps you when you have those experiences maybe amplified a little bit in the Champions League. When you don't have that, well, it's a little bit of a different style. You're playing a different style of football against Barcelona. You're not going to be able to go at them and just play totally open football. You've seen that. I watched their games when they played Man United in the group stage.
Mm-hmm.
They had to kind of adapt a little bit throughout the game. So, for me, I will go with Barcelona, but it doesn't really change the effect. We have TFF unanimous decision that PSG will get through. 3 more games left. A lot of these games, might be easier ones to call than the others. This one for me, Atalanta, Real Madrid. I'm just gonna make my decision here in terms of this game. I think Atalanta really. I love the manager. He's a guy that for me, I look at him and I kind of admire him from a coaching perspective. He plays definitely a unique style of football when you compare it to Italian football in general. He's done great things in the Champions League the last few years, but he's playing against Real Madrid, and while they have their own set of problems as well, you're playing against Real Madrid, and it doesn't change. It's not like they're shocking. They can put a great performance whenever they want. They're definitely experts in terms of the Champions League. So who I'm backing, unfortunately, I have to back Real Madrid just given what a logical prediction would be. But we know that there's going to be some upsets in these games. And if any upset is going to happen, I could see this game as being one of the most, being that upset in terms of, the season. So I will go Real Madrid. But, I give all the luck in the world, and I will support Atalanta in this game. Noah, what's your thoughts there?
I'm going to go for Atalanta just because I think they're a high-scoring team. And from what I'm hearing out of Spain and Real Madrid currently right now is Zidane isn't going to be there after that summer. So I'm thinking to myself, he's not going to have that motivation. And that team currently is in a mess. They've just let so many youngsters go on loan. I mean, Arsenal have 2 great youngsters from Real Madrid, and they just don't seem bothered by it. And it just concerns me that like it's basically a retirement place currently, because you've got Modric, you've got Benzema. These are like late 30s players kicking a football around. And I think we all know that when it's a bit of pace in the ball and a bit of counter-attacking football, it only goes one way. And I don't see Real Madrid winning this one, really.
Bold out there.
Interesting take.
That's I support that. 1-1 right now. How's it going to change, Leo?
I definitely agree with Noah on this one. The team's really old. They need that young creativity, maybe new styles in their play. They're very predictable of how they play now, Real Madrid. You can tell they'll just pass the ball and just go for pass the ball inside the box and then shoot. They don't have that range of attacks. But I'm gonna go with Atlanta on this one as well, definitely.
2-1 Atalanta. The last one. Then what do we?
You're gonna hate me, mate. I'm gonna make it a tie. I'm gonna make it a tie because the one I agree with you, Jovan, when you say if there's an upset that's gonna happen. I can't see in any other games. Like I can't see it in Lazio by Munich. Like I don't see it against Mönchengladbach and City. If there was an upset, I'd pick this game for it to happen in, but I think Real Madrid are going to take this one. It could be considered a tie at home, and I feel what you're saying about the loan players, because Arsenal seem to just get two players. I mean, Ceballos was great last season, hasn't been as good this season, but I mean that's a conversation for a different day. But I feel like Real Madrid have those experienced players that they know this competition like the back of their hand. Like it's second nature to them playing in these competitions, and for me, this is too much of an easy tie to bet against them. Maybe, next round, if they get drawn against someone like Juventus, Paris Saint-Germain, Even sort of the likes of Liverpool or Atletico Madrid, I wouldn't have them. I wouldn't have them to win. But yeah, this game for Real Madrid for me.
Listen, it's bold enough saying 2-2. I think that's, I think we agree that this one's really tough to call.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those games that where you could see two ties and you could see Real Madrid just dominating the whole time and be like, okay, it is what it is. But again, just as likely as Atalanta going out and giving everything and somehow getting through. This one will go with Porto and Juventus. Obviously, this one's should be in theory an easy one to call. Porto, I wouldn't put them completely out. They're always a good side. Not bad this season, but we're talking about Juventus, and they also, Andre Pirlo and them right now, they're not dominating the league like they were before. So what are we thinking here? We'll start with Noah.
Well, one answer: Cristiano Ronaldo. If you have Cristiano Ronaldo, you win games. And as much as, like you said, they are struggling in the league, it's Porto. It will be a tough challenge, but they should come out on top of that. I just see Ronaldo doing something which he always does, just incredible goal, overhead kick or something crazy, and us being like, wow, that's why he's at Juventus, and that's why he's going to take them as far as he does. But yeah, I see Juventus win this one. Porto, I'm sure they'll put up a good challenge, but yeah, there's just a level of quality which Juventus has that Porto just I don't think has currently.
Yeah, two votes will go me and Noah. We're gonna back Juventus here. We're gonna get the other two votes. Let's see, Leo, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely Juventus. Ronaldo, just big match player, isn't he? He always turns up at the big games, big stage, the Champions League. Can't get any bigger. He'll carry Juventus through this game, I think. Definitely backing Juventus for this one.
Cool. Dan.
Yeah, Juventus, it's a no-brainer. Obviously, Ronaldo's a big factor, but I think they managed to create a decent squad around Ronaldo. There's a lot more potential for that Juventus team, I think, and by no means I don't think they'll go all the way. I think Ronaldo can only give him so much, and Ronaldo is getting on obviously a little bit now. He's coming towards the back end of his career. I think it's fair to say. And yeah, there's not enough talent around him for me to win the whole thing. But this particular tie, I think, it'll be a landslide. I think Juventus will win both ties.
And we're gonna finish off with the one that's gonna be tougher than I think a lot of you expected, and it's Sevilla and Dortmund, Borussia Dortmund. I think when you look at this game, you have to look at everything around the game and talk about Sevilla, what European football means to Sevilla. Now, maybe somehow they love the color of yellow and they only perform in the Europa League. But I think it's more to do with the European nights over two legs and how good they are. They've won so many. I think they're the leaders in terms of the Europa League. Can this carry over then to the Champions League and against a really good side like Borussia Dortmund? But are we maybe, when I say really good, are we maybe flattering them a little bit given their certain situation? They're struggling a little bit in the league. I think they're seventh as today is the 28th of January, so they sit seventh in the Bundesliga. That's great, and I think that will surprise a lot of people. But Sevilla sit fourth, kind of where they usually are. They're having a decent season, you could say. Fourth means a lot when you think about the league itself and how Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Athletico were obviously going to take those first three normally. So fourth is the next best thing. So they're having a great season, you would say. What are we thinking here? We'll start off with Noah, then Leo, then Dan.
I just got to be Dortmund. It just has to be. As much as Sevilla, they are very good in the Europa League. Well, I'm very happy as an Arsenal fan that I don't have to see them playing there. But I think Dortmund have a really good team, and they are very inconsistent. They have struggled this year, but they have Haaland, they have Sancho, they have Royce if he's fit. They just have so many youngsters, and they keep just bringing them up, and like teenagers come on the stage and they score, and then we're all like in awe about how good they are, and they do this every single season. So yeah, I think Dortmund will win. They're not going to go the full way, they rarely do, but yeah, I do see them beating the Sevilla side. Yeah, I'd just say their league form is just a bit of a blip in the kind of the club's history currently.
Okay, one vote for Borussia Dortmund. Leo.
I don't want to rule Sevilla out of this tie, if I'm being honest. They are a very good side if you watch them play. Like, people always go over them because they just don't sound that relevant, but they are a very good side. And as much as I hate it, I will back Dortmund on this one, but it would be a good game to watch as well. Because
2-0.
Yeah.
Sure, I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, Sevilla play good football, but and Noah touched on it, the kind of players that Dortmund have at their disposal, you know, it's hard to kind of rule them out. That's so easy. Dan, what are you thinking?
Now, this is a tough one to call for me. In my opinion, I think it's one of the harder ones to call alongside sort of and the Leipzig Liverpool game. Very tight, and Dortmund's league position does concern me for this one. I'm not going to lie. They do have some big game players. Haaland, Sancho, you mentioned there, two players that can definitely perform on any given night. However, I think they will win this, but I think it will be very tight. And yeah, like everyone else here has said, you cannot rule Sevilla out of this one. Good football team, underrated. Severely underrated, I believe. And yeah, they could cause an upset. I don't even know if it would be an upset at this point, considering where Dortmund are in the league. But yeah, no, 100%. It's difficult to call, but Dortmund just a little bit, but by the tiniest of margins.
Amigos, hermanos, hermanas, I have to back you guys here. I'm surprised we're 3-0 for Dortmund. You know, there's fair points from both sides, but for me, given the football Sevilla can play, given the fact that, you know, they are they have a good manager as well. I believe it's the ex-Spain manager is there, and I think they can get through it. You know, they can capitalize on Dortmund where they are in the league. They're obviously dealing with problems there, and I see Sevilla getting through. So 3-1 doesn't mean much. We had a few of those. But overall, we went through all 8 games. Now I'm more excited than I was at the beginning of this episode in terms of the Champions League. I feel like we have,
yeah, definitely.
Champions League in a while, so we'll be excited, and maybe, you know, we'll be back on. Another small thing to point out is there's four screens, 4 people on this call, and all 4 have one thing in common. No, it's not the accent, as you can see. It's all Arsenal supporters.
Big up.
You guys there.
Yeah.
But overall, thank you so much, guys. It was
yeah, thank you guys. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure's been ours, honestly. Keep the work up. You know, it's been incredible. And yeah, we'll definitely, you know, if there's an opportunity to come on, we'll definitely be queuing up with the rest of the fans, obviously, I imagine. But yeah, thank you for having us on, guys.
Definitely.
No problem.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
See you guys.
Thank you.